Hello everyone and welcome to midday.com. I'm Supriya Narya and today with me is the incredibly talented Swara Bhasker. Hi Swara, how are you doing?
Hi.
How's the lockdown been going for you?
I mean, the lockdown has actually been kind of excellent for me. And I know this is an odd thing to say because we're all going through tough times. But I've actually been very privileged, of course, to have a lockdown that has been 2 days before the lockdown. I was in Bombay for the first 50 days and I got a pet. I adopted a rescue pup. So I
Wow.
spent the first 2 months of the lockdown getting to know him and bonding with him. And then my mom had hurt herself. So I drove from Bombay to Delhi, got lots of permissions and came to Delhi with my 5 pets. And I've been in Delhi with my parents ever since, which has just been beautiful. Though, as you could see earlier in the video, have to negotiate to be able to go out anywhere.
And I have to congratulate you for Raspberry and as well as for Flesh. I was just watching Flesh and it is such an intense, gripping, gritty series. Like it makes your stomach churn at the same time you're hooked onto it from the very
Yeah.
first episode. I wanted to know from you, what were the first thoughts that ran through your mind when you got this script, when it was offered to you?
I mean, it was really three things. One was, of course, the story, which was very, very interesting. And I remember when I read, and this is always something that is when I read a script, I always judge the script basis on how much time did it take me to read it. Was I able to read it start to finish, or did I read it and then I was like, "Achha, I'll come back to it and then come back to it." Because if you're able to read a script from start to finish and you're invested in the written word, then you are going to be able, that script will hold in the visual form. So the story, which is great. The issue was really important. Human trafficking, I think, is an issue that we have actually not seen enough of on the screen, apart from maybe Mardani and Love Sonia, which is not even a Bollywood film, and Lakshmi. I don't think it's really something that has been dealt with by Bollywood sort of in a concerted manner. So I thought it was important for the story to be told. And I have never played a cop. So that was a
Right.
great opportunity for me. So yeah, I didn't want to pass that opportunity up. So that's really what these three things are.
Right, like you just said, this is the first time that you're playing, a police officer on screen. What was that kind of prep like for you? Did you meet anyone from the department or did you do any kind of research on those lines?
Yeah, so I had two kinds of prep. One was, of course, because I don't really know any police officers personally, nothing in the family or so on. So I don't really know what their lives are like, what their challenges are like. So the first thing that I had to do was really to meet police officers, chat with them, get to know not just their lives, their routines, but also just what are their views, just about anything, about life, about,
Right.
how does being a cop change how you think about the world. And
Mhm.
I met men and women because obviously I wanted to also understand the like a female cop, what does that do? And people from the IPS cadre, but also from Maharashtra state cadre. And it was very interesting that I found the one thing, of course, everyone had their own experiences and stories to share. The one thing that actually ran common was that there was a frustration that I saw in all the cops about how they risk their lives, but how easy it is for criminals and the accused to manipulate the system and to exploit the legal loopholes in any case and basically get away. So that was something I noticed, and then I picked that up and made that the emotional motivating factor for Radha. So you see Radha, there is a frustration about her all the time, and she has that frustration. So her battle, she's not just battling the criminals, she's also battling the system. She's
System.
constantly
Right.
at it with the system. So that was very interesting perspective for me. Then, of course, there was all the training for the gun, which was a disaster. Hated it. My least favorite part of the show. And that there's a video which I put up of me sort of shooting the gun and that first time reaction, which is horrible. Then, of course, a little bit of understanding how the rigs work and so on, and running. I had to train for running because Danish, the first time he looked at the shot of me running, he was like, "You run like Phoebe from Friends." And I was like, "Okay." And then I started doing classes for running, to run for camera with an athlete and a yoga instructor who's also been an athlete, Abhishek Sharma. And he actually taught me, he was like, "All right, how much of a leg do you lift? Do you land on your toes or on your heel? And how much of your hand should move?" And so all of that. So it's very funny. Like there's a character arc in the series. There's also my running arc. So from the first episode to the last episode, my running improves in the show.
So Swara, when it comes to, certain scenes, not everyone is always comfortable with doing things that push them out of their comfort zone. So how did you approach that?
It's a very simple rule. I think most actors who will agree that the job of acting and your job as an actor is to actually keep stepping out of your comfort zone, right? That is our very job, and one of the most basic exercises that you do in any theater workshop is the exercise, and it's literally it's the beginner's exercises, is to break your inhibitions. So that is the job of an actor. You have to, we are not the audience. It is not our job to judge the character or what the character is doing. It is our job to find a justification for what the character is doing from the text and play that and present that in as convincing a manner as possible to the audience. So that is the job, and that is what I have always aimed to do. And that's how I deal with any scene that makes me uncomfortable. It's not me doing it. It's basically my character, and I have to be aware of that. And that's really how I approach it. Yeah, that's true for sex scenes. That's true for kissing scenes. That's true for violence scenes. I mean, of course, you don't want to be. I mean, beyond a point, there's also the intention. And I always feel that at the stage where you're reading the script, that is where you should quickly recognize what the intention of the story is, what the intention of the maker is, and if you don't agree with the intention, don't be part of it. As simple as that. So I'm actually quite clear about all of this.
You avenged that guy in the first episode by shooting him. So could you relate with that character in some way, the frustration and the anger that people have with them? Could you kind of relate with your character?
Not in every way. But as I said, it is not my job to relate with the character.
Right.
It is my job to be able to find the emotional motivation for her actions in the script and play that part. So if you ask me personally, what is my opinion about encounters? Not just encounters, but more about this idea of quick fix justice, instant justice. Just killing all the criminals. This kind of very mob justice mentality
Defies the law.
I don't agree with it. I think that there is a reason why we have the judiciary. There is a reason why we have the law. I think that the basis for any society that is democratic, that is civilized, is that even criminals deserve a fair trial. And justice will be done and punishment will be given, but after a fair trial. And that is really the marker of a civilized society. It is the marker of a democratic society. So I personally do not necessarily agree with Radha's position, for example, on wanting to kill all sex traffickers. Though, of course, if you ask me about the character and if you watch the show, you understand where she's coming from. You completely understand what that frustration is. And we have to also, when we talk about police brutality, we also have to think about the kind of lives they lead. Yeah, like what is it that leads to that brutalization of our uniformed personnel? Look at the kind of conditions they work in. Look at the kind of pays they have. Look at the lack of holidays. Do they have enough equipment? Are they well looked after? Are they is there counseling? Is there so it's a very high pressure job that they're doing. So are we protecting our uniformed personnel from the pressures of their own job and from their own inner demons? I don't think we are. So when we talk about police reform, I think there's also all these things to think about.
And with the trend that's going on these days, like mob justice is something that is becoming more and more something that is, prevailing.
I don't support mob justice in any form, on any issue. I do not. Blanket, do not support it.
For many actors, certain scenes that they shoot, remain with them long after the filming is over. So did you have any such instance in Flesh?
The chase sequences stayed with me.
Yeah.
Because it was so hard. And because I'd never done that level of running and chase. I think the one sequence that really stayed with me was the whole chase that we did, which is in the show. It's in the 5th episode, I think, where I'm chasing Biju through the other Lohar Chawl, what is
till
called
Bandra.
Yeah, into Varli village and right up to the sea link.
Yeah.
So that we shot over 2 days, and I was like I was dead by the end of that. I got fever on the night of the second day. Actually, the show was a huge learning for me, because I've never done action, and I've never done this kind of physicality, a role that demanded this level of physicality. So that was all very, very sort of interesting for me. And I'm very relieved that people are praising my action. Because I was so scared, I can't even begin to tell you. I was so scared about whether I'd be able to pull it off.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.